G'day, Mike. How are you?
Good, mate.
Good to see you.
World's a beautiful place again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A big win.
Amazing what a win will do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought you'd forgot the art of smiling, actually.
Well, that's exactly right, isn't it? It's good to be back.
3 goals in the first half for you, 4 for the match. Is it the best game that you've played in red and blue, do you think?
I think it probably is right up there, especially playing as a forward. It's probably sort of getting to the hardest position on the ground to play at the moment. And I think along with that, the main thing for me is my effort. And, I felt like probably the last 3 weeks, but especially on the weekend, we take a stat sort of DI indicators, so desire indicators, and they were the highest for the year for me on the weekend. And that's those little things, as I said before. Pressure acts and just getting a hand on them and a legitimate chase and that kind of thing. I just felt like that was there on the weekend, and that allows me to get into the game.
You mentioned the phrase legitimate chase. I don't know if you watch On the Couch, but we did show you a few weeks ago in what I thought was probably less than a legitimate chase.
Yep.
The same night that Puopolo had sprinted 120 metres in the Hawthorn game and run a bloke down.
Yep.
Did you see that, and did you think it was fair?
I didn't see it. No, I haven't seen that, but I'm sure it probably was fair. And, that's the thing that I'm trying to tighten up a lot at the moment. And I think, certainly the last few weeks has been a lot better. And, you don't do it intentionally. You don't, at the time, you're not thinking, I'll just take it easy here. But I guess that's how it's perceived, and that's what it looks like, and that's what it is. You can't sort of beat around the bush, and to be a good club, a good team, a good player, we're going to have to work on those things.
Jack, do you think that you've worked hard enough in your first 4 years?
Certainly, I'd probably say not early on. I don't think you really know how hard you have to work, and so I'd say the first couple of years, not enough, not hard enough. But at the same time, it was sort of a pretty hard circumstance, and it's not as if I don't say, I don't cut corners or anything like that. I'm not slack with anything like that. I'll do everything I'm told. I'll put in, but I think and obviously when you're playing in a losing team and you're struggling, that's the perception as well. So when everyone's saying you're not working hard enough, it sort of almost sinks in a bit. If you're playing in a winning team, I'm sure everyone's saying that they're the hardest working team.
Yeah.
It's interesting how that happens. But
there was a rude awakening for you, though, wasn't it? Queen's Birthday 2009. You played that day.
Yeah.
Do you believe you were ready? Do you believe it was a marketing ploy? What's your view about that?
I think as a sort of 17, 18-year-old kid at that time, and I mean, the AFL is a completely different game from junior footy. It really is. And I would probably say that, quite obviously, I probably wasn't ready at that stage as an 18-year-old kid. And I guess being the number 1 draft pick, so you're sort of expected to come in and be a good player. And then even, for the years following, I guess, being that number 1 pick, the media scrutiny if you get dropped, something like that, it's just sort of through the roof.
Have there been times, I need you to be honest here, just deep in you, have there been times when you've said to yourself, I just wish I was down at Casey, running around without all the glare of the publicity and playing there and just getting a kick of the footy and enjoying it?
At one stage I got dropped and I played 2 games down at Casey, and I just remember thinking it was probably the most enjoyable 2 games I've had since I started at the D's. And you just sort of realise that, you can play footy. You are a good footballer, and it is in you. And don't lose that sort of belief.
When Mark Neild got the chop, A, were you surprised? And B, what was your other emotion? Was it relief, sadness, or what?
I guess with the pressure that was building up, it probably wasn't a huge surprise. I think Mark came in and did an amazing job with the boys, and I think he came in with his philosophy of going pretty hard with us, and I think that works for some people and probably doesn't for others. And
did it work for Jack Watts?
I think it worked in a certain way for me. I guess with my training and those standards and that kind of thing, probably at an emotional level, I found it a bit hard.
Were you pleased the change came?
I wouldn't say I was pleased, but I think we probably needed something different.
You were quoted recently in the papers that you no longer read that you wanted to stay at Melbourne. Commitment is the heart's here. You want to be part of Melbourne going forward.
Yeah, obviously I want to be a part of the Melbourne Footy Club. And I sort of got asked a question. They said, "Do you want to still be here?" And yeah, of course I do. Obviously, me and my manager will talk through it, and I certainly see myself being at the Melbourne Footy Club in the future. And the sort of changes going on at the club at the moment is making me feel really optimistic.
Are you more committed to a future at Melbourne now than you were 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
I watched you closely on the weekend. The third one you led, the delivery was excellent, Mark, and you acknowledged the bloke even before you went back to take your kick. Do you normally do that?
Well, I probably haven't been in that situation too many times, Mike, up until now. But
yeah, true.
Look, I love sort of acknowledging my teammates for when they do something really well, and Nathan Jones is he was the one that kicked it to me, and he's been there for me since I got to the club through everything that's been going on. He's just always been a really good support of me, and so I've really appreciated that. And we've always talked about, let's get it going together. And so for him to sort of, it was just a beautiful kick, and
it was
right on my chest, and just acknowledge him. I think I went out for the high five at some stage. He just sort of rubbed me off and said, "See you later." But it was good.
Most kids, I suspect, growing up would love to think, A, they'll be drafted, but B, they might even be the number one draft pick in the country. Did you have that view? And 5 years on, do you wish you'd never been taken at number one?
I guess, as I said before, it's that journey, isn't it? I'd probably rather come in not having played any junior footy, get picked number 76 and go into a club and no one really expects anything of you, and so everything you do they're impressed with, rather than sort of feeling let down, or that's the sort of things that play on your mind. When I first came in as a number one draft pick, you just feel like, gee, am I letting people down here? And it was that was the hardest thing to deal with, I reckon.
There was a perception, and a lot of perceptions aren't actually backed up by truth, but that in your first year, you were still a bit of the party boy. I mean, you had lots of money because you were the number one draft pick. You're playing league football. You used to like going out with your mates and having a few beers when perhaps it mightn't have been the most disciplined thing to do. Is that fair?
No, I don't think so.
That's not true?
No. And that's one thing that really sort of got me and surprised me. I mean, absolutely I love going out with my mates, and, I'll enjoy a beer at times, but the perception, I think, with me, everything gets blown up, and certainly early on. And I remember, I was still at school, so I was in year 12 in my first year, and people were thinking that I was drinking during the week, let alone even on the weekend and that kind of thing. And never would I have done that at all. And I remember sort of Bales, at some stage during my first year, called me in and actually asked me about it. He said, "Look, we're hearing these things. What's going on?" And he was awesome with me and said, "Look, I'll believe you, whatever you say." And I just told him the truth. It's just not true. But that was the perception out there, that's for sure. And you just got to make sure you're doing the right thing.
I know one win can do an amazing thing to the outlook of the footy club, but is there a sort of an air of optimism about what's ahead now?
Oh, absolutely. And I guess with Peter Jackson coming in as well, and just the optimism that he brings. And I think if you just look at our list, I mean, we're down the bottom, we've struggled, we haven't been playing well, but at the same time, we can turn around really quickly, and we've seen it in the past with other clubs.
Port Adelaide
this year, even as close as this year, and with the players that we've got on our list, you can't help but feel and think that if it just sort of starts to turn, if we get that belief, and I sort of think a lot of it is up here in your head, and the way that the team sort of feels about each other, and that closeness. If we can really get that going towards the end of this year, and then have another big pre-season, it's looking pretty good.
Good. Well, look, we're all pleased that you've had a day in the sun, and hope there are many more, Jack, and thanks for your time.
No worries. Thanks, Mike. Cheers.